Medvedev versus Director of Prisons. Okay, petition for writ of habeas corpus naman ang example dito. So, sino kaya yung na-detain? Petitioner Medvedev M. Isa po siyang Russian. Pero he was brought to this country from Shanghai as a secret operative by the Japanese forces during the latter's regime in the Philippines. So, Russian citizen employed as a spy for the Japanese here in the Philippines. Upon liberation, okay, so natapos na yung Japanese occupation, na-arrest siya. Medvedev was arrested as a Japanese spy by the US Army Counterintelligence Corps. Later, he was handed to the Commonwealth Government of the Philippines. Okay. So, okay, papasok dito si Deportation Board, the admin agency involved in this case. It found that having no travel documents, M entered the country illegally. Consequently, referred the matter to the immigration authorities. Russian spy, dinala ng mga Japanese lang dito. After the corresponding investigation, the Board of Commissioners of Immigration declared that M entered the Philippines illegally without inspection and admission. Therefore, he was ordered to be deported on the first available transportation to Russia. So, pinapabalik na siya sa Russia. Medvedev was then under custody. Ayan. So, dito na. Nakulong na siya dito. Na-detain na siya. He having been arrested on March 18, 1948. March 18, 1948. In October of that same year, after repeated failures to ship M abroad, okay, so walang flight na makuha, hindi pa mapabalik sa Russia. The authorities removed him to Bilibid prison at Muntinlupa, where he has been confined up to the filing of the second petition for habeas corpus. Oh, 2 beses na siyang nag-apply ng habeas corpus. So, holding that petitioner's detention was only temporary and that temporary detention is a necessary step to process his expulsion from the Philippines. The government has the right to hold the undesirable alien under confinement for a reasonable length of time. Take note ha, reasonable length of time. So, nag-habeas corpus na sa dati, pero denied kasi valid naman daw yung pagka-detain niya. Kasi naghihintay pa lang naman ng sapat na panahon para mapadeport siya pabalik sa Russia. So, over 2 years having elapsed since the decision of that first habeas corpus case, the government has not found ways and means of removing him. So, nakakulong na po siya for 2 years. Ano yung rason? Kasi walang walang maarkila, okay? Walang makuha na flight papuntang Russia. Oh my God. Okay? It should be said that in justice to the deportation authorities, it was through no fault of theirs that no ship or no country would take the petitioner. Kawawa naman. So the issue now is Medvedev entitled to be released from custody? Oh, ang sagot, yes. All thanks to the habeas corpus petition na correct yung maling ginawa, yung maling pag-detain ng immigration office natin, the admin agency. Aliens illegally staying in the Philippines have no right of asylum therein, even if they are stateless, which the petitioner claims to be. It is no less true, however, that foreign nationals, not enemy, against whom no charge has been made other than their permission to stay has expired, may not indefinitely be kept in detention. Okay, we cannot say na enemy si Medvedev kasi wala naman i-file na criminal case sa kanya. Ang kaso lang niya, ang kasalanan na lang niya, legally speaking, ay hindi legal yung pag-stay niya sa Pilipinas. Kaya dapat lang siya na alisin. Pero other than that, wala naman na siyang ibang kaso. He is not even treated as an enemy. The protection against deprivation of liberty without due process of law is not limited to Philippine citizens, but it extends to all residents, regardless of nationality. Kaya pasok si Medvedev doon. He must not be denied of his due process. And he must not also be denied of his liberty. The petitioner's entry into the Philippines was not unlawful. He was brought by the armed and belligerent forces of a de facto government. Tama nga naman, we were under occupation. Kaya legally speaking, yung government noon ay yung government ng Japanese forces na nag-occupy sa atin. Since they are the government at that time, valid yung pagpunta ni Medvedev dito. That's what the Supreme Court is saying here, which is correct, entirely correct. Premises considered, the writ will issue commanding the respondents to release the petitioner from custody upon these terms. Okay, tama. So, there is no point of detaining him. Okay? Kaya, the Supreme Court ordered him to be released. But, subject to condition lang. Conditional ha? The petitioner shall be placed under the surveillance of the immigration authorities. Laya ka, pero mamomonitor ka ha. You will be monitored. Ganon. In such form and manner as may be deemed adequate to ensure that he keeps peace and be available when the government is ready to depart him. Which is logical. Which is more humane. Bakit mo siya ikukulong? Ipupunta mo sa bilibid na maraming mga preso. Kung naghihintay lang naman ng flight para makalabas siya ng bansa, yung rason. Mali. Inhumane. Kaya, palabasin na siya sa kulungan. I-monitor na, kung saan naman siya mag-i-stay, bahala na siya. Basta ang point, ma-monitor siya ng immigration authority at by the time na meron ng flight na available, madali siyang tawagin, madali siyang makapunta para mapalabas na siya ng country. And that is the best thing to do, which the Supreme Court did. Okay, so the surveillance shall be reasonable. Okay, alright. So the point here is Medvedev was able to utilize habeas corpus, a non-statutory remedy, in order to correct the wrongful detention he experienced under the hand of the admin agency, which is the Immigration Office. Okay. Alright, ituloy natin yung main discussion natin. What are the grounds which will warrant or which will allow the reversal of administrative findings? So these are the following grounds. Okay, as a general rule, factual findings of admin agencies are affirmed by the Court of Appeals. That are affirmed by the Court of Appeals are conclusive upon and not reviewable by the Supreme Court. Okay, take note ha. Kung yung facts lang naman ang usapan at inapprove naman ng Court of Appeals yung findings ni admin agency pagdating sa facts, sa ano na yung nangyari, that will be conclusive. Hindi na po yan papakialaman pa ng Supreme Court. But that is only the general rule. There are exceptions na pwedeng pakialaman ng Supreme Court, i-reverse, baguhin, i-modify yung findings of facts if the following exceptions are available. Conclusion is a finding grounded on speculations, surmises, and conjectures. Walang sapat na basis para i-maintain yung fact na yan, kaya baguhin niya ng Supreme Court. I-reappreciate niya. The inferences made are manifestly mistaken, manifestly absurd, or manifestly impossible. O, yan na naman si grave abuse of discretion. There is misapprehension of facts. Okay? Mali, nagkamali yung admin agency sa pag-appreciate ng facts at nagkamali rin si Court of Appeals. So, pwede pa rin i-modify ni Supreme Court yung findings of facts ng kaso. The agency or the Court of Appeals overlooked certain facts. Okay? That's self-explanatory. The agency in arriving at the findings went beyond the issues. Sumobra na, nagpakabibo na. And the same are contrary to the admissions of the parties or the evidence presented. May evidence na nga. Mali pa rin yung pag-appreciate. I-correct yan ng Supreme Court. The findings are conclusions without citation of specific evidence. walang evidentiary basis. The findings of facts are premised on the supposed absence of evidence. Okay? The facts are set forth in the petition as well as the petitioner's main and reply briefs are not disputed by the respondent. The agency has sustained irregular procedures and through the invocation of summary methods, including rules on appeal, has affirmed an order which tolerates a violation of due process. Okay, the Supreme Court does not tolerate violation of due process. It will correct it the moment it sees it. And lastly, the rights of a party were prejudiced because the admin findings, conclusions, or decisions were in violation of the highest law of the land, the Constitution, or in excess of statutory authority or jurisdiction. Nandiyan na naman si grave abuse of discretion. There is irregular procedure, there is fraud, pangloloko, there is imposition or mistake that is not supported by substantial evidence, okay, walang evidentiary basis, or there is the actions are arbitrary or capricious. Okay, to simplify, grave abuse of discretion in the appreciation of facts. Therefore, the Supreme Court has the authority to review the facts and reverse the findings of the administrative agency. Okay, so those are the grounds that warrants the reversal of administrative findings, particularly on the findings of facts. Sige, case. Office of the Court Administrator versus Lopez, which demonstrates to us the quantum of proof required in admin cases, which is substantial evidence. What happened here? The OCA, Office of the Court Administrator, in its report, recommended the filing of an admin complaint against respondent CML, si Lopez ito. Ano yung kaso niya na ipa-file sa kanya? Grave misconduct and conduct unbecoming of a government employee. The Supreme Court approved the recommendation and required Lopez to comment on the complaint. Lopez answered that a criminal case for violation of Dangerous Drugs Act was pending before the RTC, and that from the evidence presented, it was clear that the prosecution failed to prove its case and that the case might be dismissed. Kaya ang sabi niya, the admin case complaint should be dismissed also. Okay? So, si Lopez, a court employee, nahulihan ng droga, kaya pinapatanggal na rin siya as a court employee through the process of COA proceedings. Pero matapang si Lopez, ang sabi niya, yung criminal case sa akin na drug case, mukhang hindi naman malakas yung ebidensya, kaya pwede siyang ma-dismiss. Kaya i-dismiss na rin sana itong admin case laban sa akin, sabi niya. Kaya ang logic niya, hindi nga mapatunayan sa criminal case, dito pa kaya sa admin case. Kaya wag dapat akong tanggalin sa trabaho. That's his logic. Tuloy natin ang kwento. From the evidence adduced, the investigating judge to whom the case was referred for investigation concluded that Lopez kept in his custody and control 790.6 grams of dried marijuana without first securing the necessary permit. Okay, so illegal possession of marijuana. The OCA likewise found CML guilty of violation and thus recommended him to be dismissed from service. So what's the issue now? Is the dismissal of the criminal case against respondent in an admin case a ground for the dismissal of the admin case? Okay, so simplify. Maraming case. Okay? Kung na-dismiss ba yung criminal case ng Dangerous Drugs Act, automatic na rin po ba na i-dismiss na rin yung admin case? Kung yung admin case, yung rason para tanggalin siya sa trabaho ay dahil doon sa ginawa niya related sa criminal case na yon? So what's the answer? No. The dismissal of the criminal case is not a ground for the dismissal of the admin case. Bakit kaya? Hindi nga napatunayan na criminal siya, pero pwede pa rin siyang tanggalin sa pwesto in the admin case. Bakit kaya? The quantum of proof required in an admin case is only substantial. Ayun pala. Magkaiba kasi yung degree of evidence sa criminal case na mas stricto, unlike sa admin case na mas mababa lang yung level ng proof na kailangan para maging guilty siya sa administrative case na yon. So, substantial evidence is defined as that amount of relevant evidence which a reasonable mind might accept as adequate to support a conclusion. So, evidence to support a conviction in a criminal case is not necessary. The dismissal of the criminal case against the respondent in the admin case is not a ground for the dismissal of that admin case. The Supreme Court emphasized that it is well settled a criminal case is different from an admin case and each must be disposed of according to the facts and the law applicable to the case. Kung ano man yung striktong rules sa evidence pagdating sa criminal case, especially sa drug cases, wag mong i-apply yun dito sa admin case. Yun yung sinasabi ng Supreme Court. Kasi magkaiba naman yung kailangan sa criminal case na evidence at dito sa admin case na evidence. Wag mo silang pagparehasin. The evidence showed in the admin case that the respondent is the occupant of the place na kung saan natagpuan yung dried marijuana. So, what's the point needed? Wala na. The respondent did not have the necessary permit or authority from appropriate government agency to possess the marijuana. This is a flagrant violation of the law and it is considered a grave misconduct. Basta napatunayan sa admin case para patanggalin siya sa trabaho na siya yung occupant ng lugar na nakitaan ng marijuana, enough na po yun. Kahit hindi yun enough na evidence para guilty siya sa dangerous drugs case, hindi po yun rason para i-dismiss yung admin case sa kanya. That is entirely different because criminal case and admin cases, they have different level of proof required. One is proof beyond reasonable doubt, while the other is the lesser kind of proof, which is substantial evidence only. Okay? So that's the rule. Please remember that. And the last topic for this presentation and for the whole subject, liability of admin agencies and officers. Take note of the doctrine of judicial immunity from suit. Ano to? Judges who are sitting in courts, when they make decision, and if it is found out na yung decision nila ay nagkamali si judge, inappeal, na-reverse yung decision, pwede na ba siyang kasuhan? Pwede bang kasuhan si judge na nag-i-issue ng nare-reverse naman na decision? Hindi po. They are immune from those kind of suit. Okay? So this doctrine of judicial immunity from suit, it also extends to admin officers. Okay? It also extends to them. Kasi nga, pati rin naman po sila, nag-exercise rin ng quasi-judicial powers. Kuha. So ano ba yung purpose kasi ng judicial immunity from suit na ito? It protects the officer from liability for a mistake of fact or an erroneous construction and application of the law or an error of judgment in the determination of the law, including the officer's duties under the law. Okay? It protects the officer. Nagtatrabaho lang naman po siya. Wala naman siyang ginawa na pang-aabuso. Wala naman. Sadyang nagkamali lang doon sa pag-appreciate ng mga evidence. Sadyang nagkamali lang doon sa interpret ng batas. Pero in his mind, there's nothing criminal for him. Okay? Kaya that's not reason para kasuhan siya. That's why binibigyan sila ng immunity. Na ireklamo sila dahil lamang doon. Therefore, it is not material whether the officer used reasonable care in ascertaining the facts upon which his judgment was founded, nor is exemption from liability affected by any subsequent reversal or correction of the administrative judgment. Okay? So ano ba yung basis ng doctrine na ito? It is one of public policy to aid the effective functioning of the government and represents a balance between evils inevitable in either alternative, to ensure zealous and fearless administration of the law. Kayo ba naman, imagine kayo yung umupo sa pwesto ng isang hearing officer, ng isang judge. What will you feel kung at the end of the day, na-reverse yung decision mo nung inappeal sa taas? What will you feel? Will you be confident in issuing decisions then? Mukhang hindi eh. Ako, hindi na ako tatanggap ng trabaho kung ganyan. Okay? Na-reverse yung decision sa taas. O kulong na ako, criminal na ako, ayaw ko na lang maging judge. Okay? Kaya, we need judges, hearing officers who are zealous and fearless in applying the law. Kaya public policy dictates na bigyan natin ng immunity itong mga taong ito dahil nagfa-function lang sila para po ma-implement yung batas. Hence, they must be immune if they create such mistakes. Kuha? However, that immunity is only the general rule, okay? May mga exceptions po. Okay, so what are the exceptions to the doctrine of judicial immunity? Take note that the suability of a government official depends on whether he acted within his official capacity or jurisdictional capacity, and whether the acts done in the performance of the function will result in a charge or financial liability against the government. So long as nasa official function pa rin niya yung ginawa niya at within jurisdiction pa rin niya, okay pa. Pero kung sumobra yung official, acted beyond his capacity, that can be a ground for liability against him. Pwede siyang ma-charge ng, for example, a judge for wrongfully acting outside his jurisdiction. Makasuhan yan ng, for example, ignorance of law. Grave ignorance of the law. Okay, mahirap yan. That is an administrative case rin against the judge or even against an admin officer acting as a hearing officer, no? So let's go deeper to the exceptions. An officer is liable for his errors or mistakes when he is acting without or in excess of his jurisdiction, and the fact that the officer acted in good faith and without malice, hindi po yun defense. It's not a defense. Okay? Kaya, you act within your jurisdiction, not without your jurisdiction, and not in excess of your jurisdiction. May example tayo dito. Improperly conducting a hearing. Okay? Improperly conducting a hearing is not in excess of jurisdiction, but failure to give notice or failure to grant the hearing that is prescribed by the law is an excess of jurisdiction. Kuha, sabi nga ng batas, bago ka mag-hearing, bigyan mo yan ng notice. Pero anong ginawa ni hearing officer? Nag-hearing, pero walang notice na binigay. Okay? Ang clear ng sinasabi ng batas, hearing officer, mayroong right to hearing itong akusado, itong respondente dito. Pero anong ginawa ni hearing officer? Ignored yung law. Hindi na nag-hearing, nag-decide na agad. That is in excess of jurisdiction kasi sumobra yung action ni officer doon sa nire-require na gawin ng batas. The officer must keep within the limits of the power conferred upon him. Okay? And if that's the case, sumobra yung jurisdiction, yung authority na in-exercise ni officer, pwede na po siyang kasuhan. Hindi niya pwedeng gamitin itong doctrine of judicial immunity. And lastly, dishonesty, bad faith, malice, corrupt motives. It will render an officer civilly liable in an action for damages for his erroneous or mistaken determination. You cannot, if you are the hearing officer, the admin agency involved, you cannot use the doctrine of judicial immunity if in the very first place you were entirely dishonest. You were entirely acting in bad faith, in malice. You were entirely motivated by corrupt reasons. You cannot be immune. Pwede ka pong kasuhan in the regular court for your actions. Okay? So, if you are the hearing officer in the future, please take note of these exceptions to your judicial immunity for you to be safe in the exercise of your functions, and you are safe as you are acting within your jurisdiction. With that, we can now end this lecture. Thank you for listening and have a good day.